My Morgellons Madness lines. Same lines that were crossing my chest a few months ago. Came up from my sides, actually. They crossed center at my chest a few months ago. They came up the sides of my neck, and I still feel them. They run up the sides. And along the lines, where these lines are, at that line is where the greatest amount of itchiness, creepy crawliness, phantom touch, or bugs under your skin feeling from Morgellons. That's where it comes out. It's this line. Then look at this shit. It's my eyeball. It's coming right out of my fucking eye and up across my forehead. Right out of my eye and up across my forehead. And I feel it in my eyes sometimes too. I feel it in my nose too. It's like this stuff comes down here and it goes right into my nose. So what is it? Is it centered under my nose? Is there some infection in my nose that V's out across my head and wraps around my body? I don't get it. It's not a normal thing that anybody knows about, but this is what I'm dealing with. So, and I'm going to go into the long story about how it came to be, but I discovered that fire, heat, really get that area hot, and it will vaporize, and this vaporous smoke comes off, and it knocks this stuff back, and the sensations of creepiness and crawliness and fatigue and all of that stuff, it diminishes is when I start doing that. It's palpable, it's noticeable, and it really does. I'm not imagining that I feel better because my imaginary condition has been released by my imaginary treatment. My real treatment of the imaginary condition, and suddenly I feel better. Yeah, that's not what's happening. So anyway, it's at the crown of my head, and this, you look at the yogic system, or, the chakras, and what, the crown of your head from the crack of your ass. It's your root chakra to your crown chakra. All the places where the chakras are where whatever this infection is, those are the places that it's getting me. Under my arms, where your glands are, where the major amount of lymph glands are. It's messed with my heart. It messed with my stomach. It's messed with my balls. I felt like I had testicular cancer or colorectal cancer or something. My balls hurt till I was incapacitated for weeks at a time. And then it would ease up and go away, and then I'd feel good for a month. And I'm like, well, if I got testicular cancer, how come it goes away? That's what I'm thinking. And I'm not going to go to a shitbag doctor and have them, infect me with something while they take my blood, because believe me, they do that. The whole idea of putting a needle in you is what they want. They want to put a needle in you any way they fucking can. Your blood is a sacred liquid. It is a crystalline, what would you call it? What's the word I'm looking for? I'm drawing a blank on the word I wanted to use right there. Anyway, colloidal. It's a colloidal liquid of crystals, salts, and minerals. And crystals conduct energy. To me, and just my take on it is your blood is where your soul is when you're alive, when you're on Earth. Your blood is a sea that your soul swims in, The reason doctors want to inject and take your blood, and the reason they want your blood, give blood, is to take some of your soul. They want to take it. They want to infect it with whatever their poisons. Maybe they're consciousnesses, Maybe demons are just consciousnesses that are injected into your bloodstream. I don't know. I'm not prepared to go into that much detail on it right now, but I'm just kind of trying to, show you where I'm coming from, show the evidence of something that ain't normal, because this ain't normal. My eyes red right there. What kind of disease have you ever heard of, or disorder, causes a nerve pathway across your skin from inside your eyeballs or inside your nose to inflame itself up to the surface, and then follow this line up over to the crown of your head and down your spine and down, back to your ass? What kind of disorder is that? I've never heard of it before. I've never heard anybody describe anything like it before. I've never heard a doctor mention anything like that. If this was something, and the symptoms are very identifiable. They're you can see them. They're real. Other people have verified, yes, I do see that, Ron. There's something there. I do see the weirdness on the texture of your skin or your hair. I do see the spots. I do see the lines. They see them. They're there. I'm not imagining them. My fire here, it works at abating them. Now, maybe it doesn't make any sense to somebody that lightly roasting yourself over a candle or a torch flame is going to do anything to relieve a physical symptom, but it does. And also, another thing that doesn't make sense is the flame will act strange as it starts to burn the stuff off, too. Like, whatever's being burned by the flame up here causes an effect at the flame. It jitters or it moves. Sometimes it pushes down. Sometimes it leans away. Does really strange things that I don't have an answer for, but I've noticed them. What was bugging me right now, sitting here, is I got the candle going here, and I'm like toasting it up the sides of my head here where it swells up, and this reduces the swelling and the lumpiness, which is directly related to the weird sensations and the pain. And there's a few little bugs in here, like little bitty flies, like a few of them. But they're not doing anything. They're not bugging me. They're not up in my face. Oh, but I lean up here and then I start to vaporize some of this, and all of a sudden, here comes one. He's just flying right at my face. Okay. And then I lean back here to the thing, and comes flying in right up in my face. And it's like I've been in here listening to Brian Stavely on his podcast here that I downloaded for a while before I started doing this, and they weren't bothering me at all. In fact, I didn't see any. Didn't even know there was a little tiny fly in here, so small you could barely see them, with a really meaty body for a tiny little bug. Anyway, but as soon as I start doing, here they come. They're gonna get up in my face. Like, what's the connection? Is the vaporization of this attract them? Like, oh, I love the smell. I love it. I got to fly up here and find out. Oh, there's a person. Let's fly up their nose. Anytime a bug flies by me damn near, they go straight at my face. And this stuff, these lines, they come to my eyes, they go right to my fucking nose. And I've felt it before, like a cold sore feels before it comes to the surface. You'll have this sensitivity and this, it's kind of strange sensation on your skin before you see anything. And then you're getting a cold sore because you can feel it. I get that feeling a little bit. But nothing breaks through the surface like a sore, except for along these lines, which has all the same qualities as a cold sore in that when it bleeds, when it gets to the point that the swelling bleeds through, it's like a cold sore. The scab forms really fast, it's really thin and crispy, and it breaks off right away, and then it seems to be healed right away, too. It heals quickly. But it's not like a scab where, the blood would be normal, and you'd have a thick scab that would last for a while because, it's whatever, coagulated and dried. This is a totally different type. So it's similar to a cold sore, which is an infection. And it comes from under my skin. And this swollenness on the sides of my head is the same as the swollenness, at my elbows, or that was on my wrists, or that was at my knees. So I'm going to have to think that swollen is the same type of infection. It's probably staph or MRSA or whatever they, don't want to label it as. But it's an infection under my skin. I'm watching my wrists start throbbing right now. So I'm just sitting here and I just noticed, look, they're throbbing. Thump, 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 thump. And what's it doing here? Oh, thump, 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 thump. There's banding too that happens. This line. I can't both hands at the same time. Here, maybe if I hold it like this. Yeah. These lines that wrap around. Sometimes they're really pronounced, and sometimes they're, kind of hard to see. And that's not just a natural line where my skin folds when I move my arm. It's not always even in the same spot. I think maybe some airplanes are coming because my veins are starting to bulge out now too. But yeah, there's banding. Like there's banding right there, that line. That is banding. It forms in my arm. Sometimes it's quite pronounced. Sometimes it's not. It's on my stomach. This is banding. You think, oh no, it's just fat rolls, right? No, they're not always in the exact same spot. They're not always pronounced. Sometimes they're not even there. So then what is it? It makes no sense. And my heart's beating right now faster. My veins are starting to do their little bulgy thing. Something's going on. And I feel itchiness. It's getting real itchy up here around my eye. So I'm gonna do a little abatement of the crap on me, and we'll see if anything weird happens. Because you know, I like to catch strange things on camera, so it's not just me describing them to people. That's good. I don't mind describing this stuff so that other people who may be going through it can, relate. Say, oh wow, yeah, I see what this guy's going through it too. It's real. I'm not imagining it. I'm not gone crazy. But let me set this up properly. Find something to slip over there. Some scissors. Is that enough? Okay, that ought to work. I think that's good. Yeah. All right. And see if any bugs come flying up at my nose while I'm doing this. Because and why am I so flammable? Inquiring minds want to know. And why does it sizzle? I shaved, so it's, there's not even hair there to burn, but I still feel it. Fuck off, heater. Oh, when I start doing this too, the heater likes to kick on, like for some reason. Like this causes the heater to come on. I don't know. That's very strange. I start to feel an effervescing, like, feeling on my skin. And it rolls over my skin. I feel it not just right here like that. The feeling goes up and over, but it didn't sound very sensible as a description. But I don't know. There's a little bug. Oh, there he is. I started doing this, and I just see him. He's tiny. I'm talking flies that are so small. You can barely see them. They look like a node of dust, and you have to be in the light to see them. And what do? They just suddenly appear. They're dodging and ducking, and they're flying right up at my face, as if they're trying to distract me from doing this somehow, or they're really attracted to it. I don't know which, but they're definitely there. Missed him. And when that happens, here it comes again. When that happens, I start thinking about that NASA memo. The 2001 leaked memo that described the 5G. It described the aerosol spraying program. It described a few other things, but the one that sticks out to me, there's little floaty things in the air coming down too now. Like tiny little, well, these things, whatever that is, that's going to the camera now. They're like little filaments, like strings. They look like the little strings from that Brian Greene thing where he was talking about, in other dimensions at the Quantum Cafe and string theory and stuff, right? And they showed these little rounded strings, vibrating strings of energy. That's what they look like. They look like filamentary hairs that are vibrating little strands. Like from that show, if you ever saw it. If I stop now, the bug's going to leave me alone. But go like this, I bet he comes back again. Come here, little bug. You wanna. Give me some evidence here. Tell me something good, bug. I don't know. Anyway. Yeah, the line. Down into my eye. Down into my eye. What's it gonna do when it all merges? Because it's been coming from the sides. It started at the sides of my ribs. Several years ago, the line was like a scratch on my left side, on my like where you'd get a side ache from running, and I thought the cat scratched me. Well, the cat did scratch me once, and I thought it was that. But then months go by, and it still seemed to be there. Not like a cat scratch anymore, just like a red raised, slightly inflamed area where the cat scratch was, and it just didn't seem to go away, and just didn't go away, and then it began to grow and lengthen, and then it grew up my stomach, and one came up the other side, and the two merged across the center of my chest and up my neck, and they're still going up my neck. They come around, crown of my head, down into my eyes. whatever it is targeting my sense organs. It's my eyes. It's all around my ears. Like it's all over my throat. It's all on the back of my head, especially the medulla oblongata area is like just covered with it. And I think the slime mold answer is probably the closest to correct right now. Slime mold will grow in its environment. It'll grow on anything, you know. I think we've been seeded with the fertilizer by breathing in this stuff that the slime mold grows on. And I think the slime mold, as it grows, it follows a pattern. It has a structure to its growth. And I believe that structure is a balanced and formed structure that can be utilized like by wireless. Like the metal particles are such that they'll align inside our body under electromagnetic influences. You electrify a bunch of particles and they become magnetized and they will align themselves along those lines of magnetism, creating long chains of nanoparticles wanting to line up inside your body as this electrical wave goes through it. I believe the fungus ties in with it somehow. The fungus eats those particles and grows them into these lines. I mean, I can't say if it's completely, created by electricity, wirelessly forming these things, or whether it relies on this fungus that's growing, because there's a fungus aspect, though. If it was just a toxin, then as you detox and your health improves, there'd be a linear progression from how sick you were to getting better, and it would be even, at your detox rate. As you detox, you get healthier, and as you retoxify, you become worse, presumably. This doesn't act like that. And the way it burns off, too, I could do this, and get big, huge clouds of smoke to come off of me a lot of times, and they'll just continue it'll just go and go and go and go and go. And if it was a toxin solely, it would start being reduced, and the results would be less and less as it goes along. But if it was a fungus, it would fit the bill that I'm talking about, because a fungus is a growing thing, and so I could burn the fruiting body off of my skin, let's say, of a fungus, and because I didn't stop the fungus, it's still living within me, and so lovely, huh? I just look up, I see the shadow. Boom, boom, boom. So it's still alive and it's growing. So I could be burning the fruiting body off as much as I can, but I can't poison or kill the fungus completely, so it doesn't die, because it's inside my body and it's that's its environment. Unless they find a way to get rid of that part of the fungus, it's going to continue to grow. What does it grow? It grows this fine white filamentary hair out of every pore in your body. And if you think about a nanoparticle, nanoparticles are incredibly tiny. They're smaller than a cell. A skin cell of our body is like a stadium to a nanoparticle. It's like being in a dome for a football game. Say the Kingdome, they tore it down, but I've been there before. It'd be like an ant to the Kingdome. A nanoparticle is an ant, and the cell is the Kingdome. It can get filled with these particles and still function, although not the proper way. So anyway, what am I trying to say here? Besides that my eyebrows itching out. Okay, I can I don't know, I'm losing my train of thought there. But scabs under my eyebrows. You don't notice it, you don't see it necessarily, but when you feel it, oh yeah, there's little lumps under my eyebrows. Lump, 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 and they'll swell up and they'll bleed and they'll itch and they'll give me the weird creepy crawlies. Spider webs, feels like spider webs going from my eyebrows to my lip or my cheek sometime, or my ear even, and a few times I've even pulled some off of me that I could see, but it usually just feels like they're there and nothing to be seen that I can come up with as far as spider web. But I don't know. I lost my train of thought now. the bug was pissing me off like 5, 6 times in a row. I'm sitting here, nothing. I lean up over here, a little bug in my face. I'm like, yeah. Okay, and I stop and go up here, a little bug in my face. It's fucking annoying. You know? Oh, the NASA thing. Okay, back on track. Their leaked memo described co-opted insects. Now, you know, if genetically modified organisms are a thing and they're real and they can, you know, the scientific, you know, elites, scientists, if they can alter genes and DNA and RNA and create changes in the creature, if they can, you know, GMO, you know, plants, they can GMO animals, they can GMO a fungus, they can GMO an insect. Well, then they know how the systems operate. In the 80s, they had a remote control cockroach with a camera on it that they could just crawl into places and look around and nobody knew. It was a cockroach, right? It was a cockroach that was remote controlled with a camera on it that you couldn't tell. This is in the 80s. So they know how the nervous system works, at least of an insect. Co-opted insects tells me they're going to use insects. Co-opted, obviously. They're going to use them in some capacity. You know, we're screwed if the evil powers that are trying to fuck everyone over control the insects. I mean, it could become a case that the fungus released in you grows a pheromone that attracts, you know, locusts. Then one day you find that you open your door and you're swarmed with locusts. You can't go outside or you're swarmed with insects. Because that was happening to me for a while. It hasn't been too bad lately, but it still is a thing sometimes. Well, I mean, co-opted insects is scary as hell. And there's insects that I've never seen in my life. They're, you know, they've never been in this area. They've never been in, you know, the area I grew up in. They're nothing I ever saw as a kid. And then the ones that I recall, the normal looking house flies and gnats or mosquitoes and beetles and whatever type of bug you want to name, the normal ones are all but gone. They're the ones that I would expect to see. They're nowhere to be found. It's like they don't exist anymore. The insects that have replaced them are things I've never seen before. They don't look right, and none of them look like a ladybug or a butterfly. There's nothing nice about them. They're all really gross, creepy ones. Shield bugs and weird fucking flying beetles and ants and just things that don't look normal and were not really here before. So, you know, if they can modify the insect's organism so that it's more responsive to electrical stimulation, I mean, you could have a remote control swarm of locusts. You know, what would you do about that? If bugs were just, you know, could be used to keep everybody in their house, they turn on the harp and they put out the right beam and bugs will attack any person that they can get to. So your house is being swarmed, they're crawling all over you like, you know, like killer bees or some shit. It's a scary thought. But NASA is a shitbag organization, you know. There's a reason that in Hebrew NASA means to deceive. There's a reason that they named it NASA, and that is why. Because they know it's a deception. They planned it the entire time. The public's imagination was seeded with, you know, by Jules Verne and whatever, you know, by fictional writers, and then the supposed true scientists, and then the, you know, the quantum theorists and your Einsteins and your Niels Bohr's and all that kind of shit. You know, they are smart people. But just because someone's smart doesn't mean they can't be bought off, or they can't be coerced, or they can't be manipulated into, you know, saying things that are untrue or that they don't believe, but it fits a narrative that helps the evil powers that be control and manipulate the people of the world, like us. They don't give a fuck about it. They'll poison us. They don't care. They don't necessarily want us dead, or they just come and kill us. They could just release something that would kill everybody. They don't want us dead. They want us sick, but not dead. They want some subjects to rule over. If you kill everybody, you're not a ruler of anybody. You rule nothing, and you got to do your own work then. No, they want people that are too weak and sick to fight back, but not too weak and sick to force to go out and do the things that they want them to do. It's a fine line, the way I see it. That's what I can only imagine the motive must be. Otherwise, they just kill everybody, and that's not happening yet. Something Brian Staveley was talking about too, about all these different things that I disagree with him on. I pretty much agree with everything he says, his take on it, about how reality is altering and stuff. But one of the nuts and bolts aspects, he said about chemtrails, he was saying like, it was going to be this, that, and the other, and they're going to round up people for the FEMA camps, and then the 5G was going to kill everybody, and yada yada yada, and those things. And he's saying these all haven't happened. Well, he has dropped dead from chemtrails. He said, well, you know what? My sickness and disorder problems are in lockstep with chemtrails. I didn't start feeling like my health was falling off the moment I saw my very first chemtrail. It took a couple years. But a couple years into the chemtrails, I started noticing the itchiness, and I started noticing the inability to focus long periods of time like I've always been able to do because of that. It was throwing off my ability to work on things and diagnose problems. So I disagree with him on that. Just because he hasn't fallen dead from the chemtrails yet, or chemtrails are poison, and it's a subtle poison, and it's a toxic poison, so it builds slowly. It's going to take time. You're not even going to know what it's doing to you at first, because you won't even notice there's a problem yet. What I observe from chemtrails is that it makes people more reptilian. At what point do you realize that your own empathy for other people, say, has lessened a little bit? How would you even fucking know? You wouldn't notice something like that